And of course, who better than my good friend Alan Jones to kick off this news segment? He joins me now. You're in the hot seat tonight, Mr. Jones. I'm asking the questions. What did you make of 2020?
Right, I think that's a very easy question to answer. I said from the outset that the response to coronavirus, I thought, was totally disproportionate. I thought the Prime Minister, when he addressed the nation on the 15th of March, got it right. And from that point on, I think they got it wrong. He said that for 8 out of 10, it would be nothing more than a mild flu. Actually, that turned out to be 9 out of 10 because 99% of the cases all year have been mild. But he said for the other cohort, and he nominated the cohort very clearly. He talked about the elderly, those who are vulnerable, those with comorbidities, and Indigenous and remote communities. He made it very clear in a long speech. March 15, you can check it there, it's recorded in the Hansard. They then lost their way. A whole heap of people who were not vulnerable were put out of work, businesses were shut down, and now, of course, we're facing massive, massive debt. So I think that was very disappointing. The plus side, of course, was the heroism of people in the bushfires. They were difficult. They weren't the worst bushfires ever. That's been exaggerated to highlight the argument about climate change. So it's more of the same hysteria. But nonetheless, people suffered. And sadly, Peter, they're still suffering. The kind of recovery hasn't taken place. So there are people in the Blue Mountains still waiting. There are people on the South Coast still waiting for those recovery dollars to come their way. I'm hopeful, of course, that in the Christmas season we've had a lot of rain, but they do forecast it'll be La Nina rather than El Nino. So in other words, it will be wet rather than dry, even though we've had a rather bad last couple of weeks. So I think you juxtapose those things. I'm disappointed at where we are in relation to coronavirus. The cost to this nation has been absolutely extraordinary, and people are still bearing the cost. We should open up the economy, let people be responsible for their own health. There have been sufficient warnings about who are at risk. I'm one of those people at risk. There are others. I mean, we know how to manage our health. We don't need politicians to be telling us. So I found that I just think that where we are economically, the virus has weakened us. And as you know, Peter, and you've written speeches about all of this, if the economy is weak, then your national sovereignty is vulnerable. And so we've got a long fight back.
And look, I think this issue with China, the ongoing issue with China, it's not just today, it's been for many, many months, just heightens how much we need to be resilient in economic terms as well as
well, I think the problem with China, Peter, the problem with China, and of course we've now got this business about wine and tariffs of 214%. We've got, 80 ships out of port with $1.2 billion worth of exports to China. And when you look at the figures, 48.2% of our exports go to China. So I think we can be grateful for China if they're now putting the economic gun at our heads. We've got to stop being complacent, get off our backsides, diversify a lot. And if they won't take our wine, then prevail upon Europe and America, who actually have half the exports of our wine to them that we export to China. Ask them to buy more. Let's go somewhere else for our coal. Other people will buy our coal. So I think we've been far too complacent. We've put our eggs in the China basket. 48.2% of our exports is too high a figure. So this is a bit of a challenge for us, and you turn adversity around. And I think we're capable of doing that. We have always been capable, and here we are. They might be giving us a lesson, and it might be a lesson which is beneficial to us. Put the boot on their foot.
Well, business and government need to do more about diversifying those markets. What's a positive to come out of this year?
Oh, look, there's always one positive about Australia. Wonderful people, wonderful country. They never lose sight of the fact that, and we shouldn't lose sight of the fact, in spite of the minority, the Marxist minorities that march around and Black Lives Matter and all that sort of stuff, those are minorities. This is a fabulous country. Never, ever forget that. Great opportunities here. We've got to tell that to the young people. And in spite of all the stuff that's preached to them in the classroom, hang on. You've never been born at a better time. The leisure time available is greater than ever. The absence of poverty, there's a greater absence of poverty in the world than there's ever been. And you could list these over and over again. This is a wonderful, wonderful country. Celebrate it. Don't allow people to complain about it. And let's get on with it and make something of it. You'll be given, whoever it is, will be given an opportunity somewhere to do something. Go for it, roll up your sleeves and get into it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're born in this country. You win the lottery of life to be born in Australia.
Yeah, a lottery, absolutely.
It is up to you to make something of it. I know this is your last week on air, so I want to know, how Well, I want to know, but I'm sure my viewers want to know as well. How do you celebrate Christmas? What are you doing this year? I reckon your summer break might involve a bit of bloodstock around the Magic Millions in January. Are you going to go up there? What's January look like for you?
Well,
Alan?
again, Peter, I think not that I would be chasing off overseas, but I think it's sad that we talk about lockdowns. Well, why is our international border locked down? We know what risks there are. We can take those risks. If people want to go to France or Spain or Italy, they should be able to do that. But for me, no, it'll be very quiet. It's always very quiet. Oddly enough, I've got a little place at the Southern Highlands, very modest little place. And you won't believe this, our viewers won't believe this, but I think 9 times out of 10 on Christmas Day, isn't this amazing? 9 times out of 10, the fog comes through the front door. And often the fires are on. It's sort of almost more English than Australian. So it's just a little family thing, Justin and Tonya and the kids, and there'll be a few friends around.
Lovely.
And then I migrate to Queensland to hope that we can sell a few horses at the Magic Million sales. And I just I'm a Queenslander. I love Queensland. I think the Gold Coast is a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. And we have a lot of fun up there as well. You know, it's a lovely time of the year.
Enjoy, and please post if you do get that Christmas-looking look or English Christmas-looking look come through the door. Put it on Instagram and we'll all have a look at your
That'd be lovely.
fire roaring on Christmas
I will.
Day.
You can get in the car and drive up. It's only about 6 hours.
Well, now the border's open, you better watch out. Put the kettle on, I might well be there.
There you are.
All right,
Okay.
Alan Jones.
All right, Peter.
Well
lovely
done
to
on a
talk to you.
terrific year, and it's great to have you on board full-time at Sky.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Peter.
All right, coming up.